Hello, ladies, and it's Amy here with Live Healthy, Be Happy. I am just joining you to do an interview here with Katie. I'm just gonna see I can add her here. So I'm just waiting for Katie to join us. Once I see her pop on, we will add her. So we're gonna be doing an interview with Katie, who is the host of the Own Your Pretty Now podcast. So I'm pretty excited about this. We'll just wait. While I'm doing that, I'm going to share this with my group. Oh, there I see Katie. Adding you there, Katie. Oh, there we go.
Hello.
Hi, Katie.
It worked. Hi. Good evening for me. Good evening for me.
Yes. Good
Yeah.
evening. How are things going today?
It's been a crazy week. My kid came down with something today, so Dad is fighting that off, or fighting with him about fighting it off. And so, if you hear some stuff like some crazy things, that's what's happening. But I'm excited. I love your glasses. They're so cute.
Thank you.
Yes, adorable. Good to put a face with the voice. I know we've talked a lot, but yeah.
Yes, it is so good. Here, I'm just sharing this with my group of ladies.
Share. Yes.
Um,
Hey, Barb. Barb's here. Hi.
Yay! Hi, Barb. Thanks for joining us.
I guess I don't know how to share this. Do I know how to share this? Hi,
Are
Sydney.
you on
Everybody's here.
Are you on two devices?
I am. Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay. Yeah, so we're just sharing with our groups here so that everybody, while we get started, and I've got Katie here.
Yes.
And she is the host of the Own Your Pretty Now podcast.
I am, amongst so many other hats. Yes.
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 Yeah, just like myself. I know sometimes we end up accumulating lots of hats, hey?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Where are your kids?
I'm actually at the reading center. I've been having troubles with my with my internet at home, so I figured I'd come here, and then I knew it was going to work.
Yeah, there you go. Knock on wood, right? Knock on wood.
Yes.
Thanks for having me. I'm
Technology.
super excited to be here. Hi, Karen. And just like as I'm super open, so just as people join, if they have questions for me, they can feel free to type them in the comments, and we can rock and roll however you see fit. I'm an open book, so.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
So Katie, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your journey with postpartum depression?
A little bit. Oh my gosh.
A little bit.
Yeah. That is what the podcast, focuses on. And that's how we met, right? So we met through a Facebook Live I did with another colleague that we have in common, I guess. Correct?
Yes.
And just kind of found that we shared this mission. And my journey, so my only son so far is 2.5. He'll be 3 though in November. So basically 3. And I just found that it was such like a dark time for me 3 years ago. And I just found, but like looking back on it at the same time, I found it fascinating. Just like what my mind did and what my hormones did and what my emotions did. Like it was scary and it was horrible, but it was honestly like kind of fascinating. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of like so weird. And I just felt this passion to like, I need to talk about this more and share this with other people. That's really all you're left with, I've found at the end of the day, right? Like you go through a horrible time and all you're really left with is just like, well, are other people going through this? Like, I would hate that for them. How can I, make it better for them too, out of what I went through? But for me, it was kind of a concoction of, I kind of knew I was going to have depression issues before I even had them. Like, I just felt that way. I don't know if you hear that from many of your ladies,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. And during pregnancy is quite common when women start with their postpartum depression and anxiety.
Yeah, I have a friend that started with anxiety. I have a friend, my podcast Friday is going to be with a good friend of mine since like 4th grade, and she really struggled with anxiety and stuff in pregnancy that translated for her into postpartum as well. But for me, I didn't struggle during pregnancy, but I just felt like I'm not going to be good at this. It was like a lot of self-doubt. It was a lot of, I feel so out of my element, even though I felt great. I just felt like this was going to happen to me. And you hear what postpartum depression is, you know, and we're talking about it more now.
Yes, good.
But I was sort of like, I think it's going to happen to me, right? And I had a very difficult labor. How was labor for you?
It was fine with both of my girls, and that was the for myself. It was kind of shocking because I was kind of being that super mom and then trying to like hide it from everybody. And so it was really shocking after having my first labor was a bit more rough than the second time, but
Okay.
yeah, it was
Okay.
a bit shocking to be struggling afterwards. So
Yeah, because I had a really tough labor. It went on for way too long. We had to use forceps, and I lost a
yeah,
lot of blood.
yeah,
And so physically, I was in a bad place. And I'm just somebody who's very connected to my physical being. Like,
yeah,
mind, body is just who I am. Like, when I work out, I have a better day. That's just my it's just me, and how my
yeah,
body was used, like that, the chemistry of my body is just used to that, right? And so I'm not able to do that anymore. And my hormone, you know, milk's coming in, like what's happening? And I was really just down. I wasn't eating well. And so for any ladies out there who feel like this like, huge connection with mind, body, and there might be something to why I feel myself slipping into darkness, I think yes. I think that yes, there is. And it's completely legit. And you know, I ended up reaching out. We had like a lactation consultant come in because nursing was hard, so that was just icing on the cake.
yeah,
And then I did reach out. I have a nurse practitioner that I am like, just we've gotten close with. She shared her cell phone number with me, which she probably regrets. But I was able to like text with her, and it was through her. Like, she was the one who like asked the question, right? Like, do you feel like you're going to do harm? Right? That's like the classic diagnosis question, or it was 3 years ago.
yeah,
And as soon as I like felt myself breaking, and like I felt myself say yes, like I might, it was so terrifying. But I like felt some relief at the same time of like, it's out now. You know, perfect Katie, you know, is like losing it. And and she was really then walking me through, right, like what kind of like you clearly like need maybe some medication of some sort, what's right for you. And she was a great partner. We found like a really natural medication. It was just like a folate supplement. You know, when you lose that much blood, when you don't eat, you just have none. So
yeah,
she found me a great medicine in that, and that kind of helped. I found the whole journey very like short-term fixes, long-term game, right? Like,
yes,
I need to sleep today, but I need to fix this for 5 years from now. And so I did really like take, you know, we found that medication. I did take it. It was safe for nursing and all that stuff, so don't worry. But you know, and it gave me relief in the short term so that I could then eat and sleep and focus on something besides the panic that was like manifesting itself. And so I kind of wrap it up in this whole like, it's a lot of battles between short-term fixes, long-term fixes. You know, like you need to take care of yourself today for that baby, but you don't want to, I know you don't want to be on that medication in 10 years. You know, like we have to
yeah,
fix the mind, and we have to fix what kind of broke and why it broke for the long game so that you're
exactly.
not, you know. So at the same time all this was going on, you know, my mom was diagnosed with her second round of cancer. And so this just was just my like my nightmare. I didn't really want kids, right? You know, I didn't think it was in the plan when it was.
Yes,
And so I'm living this like, I'm a career woman, this isn't supposed to happen to me, and the worst nightmare of your best friend, you know, has breast cancer. So it was a lot at the same time. But out of that dark place, right, like you get 3 years out, and I just felt this like burning. I love podcasts. I don't know, Angela, hi, anybody else out there, I love podcasts. And I just felt like this is the medium, right? Like, I'm not a blogger, I don't read them, I don't have the patience to write them really. But I could talk and get it out. And I felt like women always had their phone with them. Like you probably find that, right? Like
Yeah.
I wanted to bring my laptop up to Liam's room at 3 to feed, to watch something and not be bored, but I didn't have hands for that. But I always had the phone. So I was like, if
Exactly.
there's a woman out there struggling at 3 a.m, can't nurse, feels crazy, she's spiraling down, she'll have her phone, she can find this show, right? She can click in and just feel normal for a little bit, right? Just feel like she made, I made it out of that with a lot of work and prayer and support, support from community.
Yes.
Um,
Support's huge.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I have made it into great, like owning my own business now and like talking to women just like a normal person, getting all the dirt out and then saying, but like I have made something of it and I am pretty proud of that. And you don't have to listen to the show and own a business, right? But
Yeah.
just, it'll change your life. Like going through something that dark, cancer and or like
Yes.
postpartum, that darkness will change a person and just put you on fire with like, I can own a business. I can make this something, right? I have to share this story with other people that are going through it too. And so the show's only a couple months old. I got finally launched it in June. So it's feeling, I don't know, it's October, I guess. So maybe a
Yeah.
while. But it's just weekly and that's all I can commit to. In addition to like being in the beauty business for a while and teaching, I teach at Ohio University. So I'm wearing a lot of hats. I am feeling spread pretty thin, but it's just so worth it, I think, to have these
Yeah.
conversations with
Yeah.
other ladies and say like, you're not the only one and we hear you,
Yeah.
and there's surprising amount of comfort in just getting it out there. I don't know. I didn't seek a counselor or anything like that. I probably should have um, during that time, but yeah, I just that was a miss. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. And I can relate so much to everything that you're talking about. I know just that's my passion, is getting the word out and letting people know that they're not alone and that this does happen, and destigmatizing. Because I think sometimes just letting it off of our chest and letting people know I am struggling,
Yeah.
it helps so much. And I know
Yeah.
so many of the ladies that I work with will relate to so much of your story because they've been, through the traumatic childbirth and yeah, and
I
it's
mean,
huge.
I'm in the States too, so I'm interested too, like if it's just any more or less stigmatized, like where you are. But in here, like it's coming down. Like we have Facebook groups for it and whatever. But even like when I put the show out about my slip into darkness, right? I called it. I had like friends getting to me and be like, I had no idea it was this bad. And I'm just like, yeah, but that's not your fault. That's me, right? That was my thing. I didn't want to reach out to you for X reason or whatever. But even with new moms now, I tell people, in the show on Friday coming up is going to really hit on this with like, I saw 2 new moms last week, and you ask them, how are they doing? I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm good. And I ask again, like, no, really, how are you doing? And what do they say? Well, he's not feeding. He's not eating. It's really hard. I don't know what I'm doing, right? But you have to kind of like push us almost,
Yeah.
right? To be like, no, I'm a safe place. How's it really going, right? And I think that's just because we don't want to feel this way. It's not so much about, I don't know, not so much about like me being super embarrassed. It's just a matter of like, I didn't want to feel that way. I wanted to be enjoying his first few months of life, right? I couldn't get there. I could not do it physically, mentally, like everything. I could not do it. And so it wasn't so much even about a stigma or like people are going to think I'm crazy. It was about, I don't want to feel this way, and saying it out loud makes it real
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally hear you there. Yes, and I know you mentioned a little bit about your mom's journey with cancer and how that
Yeah.
impacted you, and I know I could really relate to that listening to your show when I was listening to
Right.
that part of your podcast, because I know my mom was struggling for years with diabetes. She was in multiple car accidents, so there's so many hospital visits and so many things, and just the impact. I know you were talking about looking at like food
Yeah.
label and like the labels on like products that we use, you know, beauty products, etc., and how
Yeah.
it impacts us. And that really resonated with me because that was, you know, I could relate to so many parts of my story and your story, and yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah.
that's really how the whole, like, I really kind of caught the bug was like right after Liam was born, and she got diagnosed with breast cancer, and it was her second round. And so it was kind of this, like, we've had enough. Like, what is going on? You know, why is this happening to her? She's young. She wasn't even 50. Why is this happening? And so we started looking into alternative, you know, routes or other theories onto why it happens, and started taking stock, right, of like there's parabens in all these products, or there's sulfates and things like this that might be disrupting the hormone balance. And we did all this research, and we talked with chiropractors, and you know, mom did like a detox. I partnered with her as much as I could, nursing, and
Mm-hmm.
did that with her at the same time. And you know, we got, like, she got rid of sugar completely. She has like pretty much only eats salads now.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of kale, but she has stuck with it. It's the hardest thing next to giving birth she's probably ever done. She lost a ton of weight.
Yeah.
She is still with us, being the best, you know, grandma ever. I would die without her. And
So amazing.
but it took like a complete overhaul, right, of her everything, of her diet and her beauty products, right? And that's, like I was saying, that's what gave me the itch of saying, like, there's too many products with gross stuff in them. What can I do about it, right? And so I you know, reached out and started finding companies to partner with, to say, like, I can't make all this stuff myself.
Yeah.
So what are products that are already great? You know, I found Money. I'm in love with them. They healed, like, I had a postpartum bald spot that was icing on the cake too, right? The hair loss. And it, you know, I love the products. It grew my bald spot back in a month. My mom has had her hair come in and not be like the chemo hair, you know, you hear like it gets wiry or something. Her hair looks amazing. My dad is having huge success with it. So I just partner with companies like this and kind of be a vessel to be like, this stuff is better for you, and it's going to work and be awesome, right? And for those of you who want to, like, take it a step further and try owning a business, right, and try stepping out and owning your time a little bit more than a job lets you, you know, try this with me. And it's been growing, you know, by gangbusters. I love the direct sales model for that. And so it's been such a journey, but it really started with, like, there is some horrible things, at least in the States.
Yeah.
I know, again, we have different, like,
Yeah.
standards, but you know, there's some horrible stuff in the products. I'm not saying shampoo gave my mom cancer, but um,
It
over
opened your eyes
time,
to changing
yeah,
those things. Yeah. Yeah.
over time, like, putting like petroleum on my skin every day is not good. And eating pesticides every day for 50 years, like my, you know, mom probably was doing essentially, is not
Yeah.
good. And so you have to kind of correct that. So she did go like the traditional route. She had a lumpectomy and chemo and radiation. So we did all that. But then she's also kind of changed her diet, did the juicing, right? And in combination, again, when you
Yeah.
play for the short-term game and the long game,
Yeah.
she's like in year 4 or so out, thank God. And so, you know, do we still hold our breath? Of course. I mean, we probably always will, but you know, we live with faith, and we, you know, say a lot of prayers and keep eating our kale.
Yes.
And you know, and we get to keep her around. She's gonna add 3 more grandkids to her, what, to her family
Yeah.
this fall ish and winter. So she's still amazing, all the energy in the world, and we're just so blessed. But we learned so much, right? And I think, you know, God brings you through stuff like that just to say, again, like, to get on Facebook Lives and say, your mom had cancer, so did mine. You were depressed, so was I. Like, let's talk about this stuff so that it just finds you where you're at and hopefully puts you in a better place, even if it's just for 20 minutes, right? Like, it matters. It really matters to people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know so many women like that I've talked to too, they can relate to this because they have things coming up in their lives that, you know, the turmoil that's just for whatever reason, when we're struggling with postpartum depression, there's a wheel I use with clients, and sometimes it's all in one section or another, but like it's interesting to see because there's always other things going on that are impacting it, right? So
Right.
whether our family members are going through things or whether we're going through other things, or yeah, so it's I know everybody, there's many women who can
Yeah, I just
relate
feel
to
like
that.
that mental state at the time just blew everything up in my
Yeah,
work, and I felt her cancer differently. I'm her only daughter, so like I felt it differently because I have brothers and it was breast cancer, and they're just not gonna think, what are my risks out of that? They're just not this way I did. And it just, they processed it, of course, and had a hard time with it, but it just made everything so much worse. And it was the darkest time of my life. I'm so glad it's over.
yes,
But you have to really put in the time and find what's right for you. And that's what I say out of all of these businesses, right? It's like, read your product labels. Don't take the first medication your OB throws your way because they're a doctor. You don't have to.
yeah,
Like, you can Google that. You can ask a friend. You can get a second opinion. And I was it uncomfortable to push back to my nurse practitioner and say, I don't want to be on that. It scares me. Yeah, I felt bad about I felt bad. But in the long run, like, I just knew we finally got to a place that, like, I would feel good on. I could feel
yeah,
a peace putting that in my body when I was, nursing. But I had to fight that battle for my health. No one else was going to do it. My husband can't even do that, you
yeah,
know? Um, and that's just so, the whole dynamic with a partner, going through all that with a partner is just crazy
yes,
too.
yes, yeah. Yeah, and that's been huge. I know I'm starting tomorrow,
Hmm.
or sorry, October 1st.
October, yeah.
Yeah, October 1st. I'm starting my relationship challenge. So 5 days for women to go through and develop some new skills and new tools to work through this with their partners. Because I know that was a big struggle
That's
for
so
me. So
cool.
that's a whole nother side of things, right? Is your relationships, and then relationships with your partner, and then relationships with your other children. And there's just so many relationship things, and divorce rates are like all-time high, and it's so sad, right? So
Right.
I want to help people, build those skills so that they are not falling into that. And yeah,
Yeah. You never learn to, I think. It was really hard, and I hate, like, some of the stuff that Eric heard me say. I hate some of the stuff that he, like, saw me looking like,
yeah,
or like, at the time, it's like embarrassing, like, even looking back on it, right? But I remember thinking, like, I've never, like, appreciated him more or felt more like I could not. I mean, single moms out there, I just cannot. I could not. I don't even know. I couldn't do it.
yeah,
um and so I just have so much respect, right, for those of them that have to do that. But I just remember saying to him, like, you can never leave me. Like, I mean, if the wedding didn't seal the deal, like, this seals the deal. I cannot, right, like, go this alone. Clearly today he's taking care of the sick one and I'm here with you. But it's just, it puts everything in such, like, a higher stress, right? Like, every fight was bigger. Every chemo appointment for mom was the worst. Everything was just on this level for me at the time. And now, looking back 3 years later, I am off that medication, right? Long since off it. Um, Went back to work full time, had a career transition, right? Owning my own thing and teaching now. I just have to say, like, if you're in the darkness now, there is a light, right? And if I can just shine that for a little bit, I mean, same as you, right? If you can just be that escape for a little bit, then we've done our job.
yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. There is a light at the end.
Yeah.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah.
So, and now you're expecting baby number 2.
I am. Can you believe it? I know.
So exciting.
Talk
And I
about,
know
like,
that's,
interesting mind games.
yeah. And I know that's been a question a lot with a lot of the ladies that are in my group and that I work with,
Okay.
is like, what is it going to be like with baby number 2, and do you worry about that?
I did. Um, you know, I did. I feel, though, now, like, again, I think the podcast has been like therapy for me too, that I've, like, been forced to go back and relive a lot. And I don't love taping every episode, but it's still like creating that hindsight for me. And I
Yeah.
can see this like contrast between, you learn so much with that first kid. Like you just learn so much now, you know,
Mhm.
and I don't really worry about it with it is a girl. I'm due in
Yes.
January and I'm super excited, but we have had the rockiest pregnancy. Like I feel fine, but it's been very complicated, but we feel great and we're safe and fine. But you would think that
Wonderful.
I would already be having these doubts, right? Of like, it's going to be that way. I mean, I don't feel the same way. I really feel like I have put the work in to have a stronger like mind. I know what my body is going to need. I'm eating so much better this time around, even though we're having all these complications. I still like thought in pregnancy I could eat like I wanted to eat, which is kind of like a rabbit. Like I just kind of snack and I didn't like eat meals, for example, right? And I think that led to me feeling so depleted after labor because I just didn't keep a lot of storage right in my
Yeah.
body. This time around, like I've learned I can't do that. I have to be feeding my face. I've learned that like in the hospital, maybe for me, I think that that first night's sleep after delivery is going to be super important. If she doesn't sleep, maybe I do need to put her in the nursery for, I don't know, but
Yeah.
like that will be okay. If that happens, we will all be okay, you know?
Yes.
If nursing doesn't go great after X weeks of trying or whatever it happens to be, formula will be okay, you know? And I've learned now to let so many things go. And I
Yes.
just feel like I'm in a better place to where, and I have another 3-year-old who's probably going to keep me just laughing all the time. But you know, I'm getting a glimpse as we get closer. Even like I said, this past week was just so busy and it has crept into my mind. I'm someone that likes to be making progress. And when I feel overwhelmed or I feel like that progress can't be made, again, a lot of self reflection, right?
Yes.
A lot of like, what do I like? In my week, I like to feel productive. I like to work out. I like to feel healthy. I like to feel like I have time for myself, right? And I got glimpses this week of like, it's going to be all this and another baby, you know? I got all this. And so a little bit of like that anxiousness has been creeping up just this week. This is hot off the press. And I really have to just sit back and like, again, go back to just, you know, the prayer and the self-reflection and the fact that like this was Sunday, right? And I sat in the backyard with my son this morning. He was playing in the sandbox and just like repeating to myself, like, it's a Sunday, right? It's a beautiful day. You have done enough. You
Yes.
are healthy. You are at peace, right? And it's like a mantra. I just had to
Yeah.
like take a minute that like, yes, I didn't get as far with grading to that day as I wanted, right? Or I didn't know he was going to spike a fever this afternoon, you
Yes.
know? But I have to like learn to take those moments and talk to myself because I'm listening, you know?
Hmm.
And I didn't have that 3 years ago. I didn't have any appreciation for self-talk, you know, or putting positivity in and like the power of that. I
Yeah.
didn't have any groups like yours or any of now like these other podcasters I, you know, am obsessed with. I didn't have any of that three
Yeah.
years ago. And,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
huge. That's so huge. Like having, I know like the statistics say if you have support and you have your tools, and that's why I always ask women when they're worried about this is like, so what tools did you put in place that helped you before? You know, what was helping you before, thinking about those things? Because if you put those things in place, you know, like you say, you're watching your nutrition more now, you know,
yeah,
that's huge.
right.
And that's, yeah. And then your mindset, all the tools that you have now to,
Yeah.
you know, using those
Yeah.
mantras, that's so beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you. So I really am walking into it with just a whole nother like energy and mindset and knowing more. You know, I know more. I know what to do when nursing is horrible in theory. You know, I know who to call. I have the numbers in my cell
Yes.
phone. I know that getting out of the house is going to be key for me. You know, I know I can't just sit in my house and whatever. And it's going to help that like two of my sister-in-laws are due in November. So we'll all be going to each other's houses, I guess, you know,
Yeah.
and kind of being in baby stage at the same time. So yeah, I'm excited. I feel a different energy about it. And I'm just trusting myself, like trusting that I can't go through something that dark twice. um, and I did ask some people, and most of them would say that like they had it with their first and it wasn't as bad with their second. Um, Most of them felt that way. And so I'm hoping I'm in that camp.
Yeah, yeah. And like you say, trusting yourself. I talk about that a lot, is trusting our intuition. You know, I think sometimes nowadays we have lost that motherly intuition, right? So just trusting in ourselves and not using all this masculine energy and finding, you know,
Yeah.
books and resources and following, you know, if you're reading something, pull out what fits with you and what feels good, right?
Yes.
And that's so important.
So true. So true. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So you touched little bit about your podcast and why you
Yes.
started it.
I
Um,
did. Yeah, it's going really well. I mean, people are reaching out. It's different, you know, it's for like a very targeted audience. I know that. And we do kind of cover the gamut of just like motherhood in general and then like what it was like for me being a new mom. But again, I found that like going through postpartum, people talk to you like a doctor, right? It's very on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling? Or they talk to me like motherhood goddess, you know, this is the best time of your life and like whatever. And I didn't resonate with either of them. You know, I felt dumb talking to doctors and I felt like I'm not on this wavelength with, you know, the goddess mothers. and
yeah.
so I just wanted like a normal voice, a normal friend voice that I could put a podcast on and listen while I fed Liam and have a moment to myself, even though you're nursing, you know, just an escape while I'm cleaning the pump parts or whatever, to feel like there was somebody out there who had gone through it. And so that's what I wanted to create. They say create things you wish existed. So I wish that I had had that. And so I created that. And it's a weekly show. You can find it anywhere you listen now. It's Own Your Pretty Now. You can find it in iTunes and all that stuff. Or ownyourprettynow.com. I can put the link in the comments of the video. But share it, you know, share it with anybody who is a new mom, because like my friend said for the show coming up Friday, it's a big one. But she said, you know, I really believe now, when you know a friend has had a baby, just insert yourself into their lives. Like, just get in there. Like, bring
Yes.
them something, or you know, pretend you were lost and you needed directions. I don't know. Like, get in their life a little bit more than you were, because you just never know. It takes the second ask. You know, it doesn't, nobody, I don't call any new mom and say, how are you doing? And they say, oh, I hate it. It's the worst. I'm dying over here. No, that's never happened, right?
No.
It takes a couple of like, are you sure? No, really, how's it going? Before she feels like she can, you know, wear her heart on her sleeve like that. And so, you know, share it with any new mom, any pregnant woman, right? I just want to be that normal voice for people to say, you know, I've been there. I think I've made, you know, the most of my light at the end of the tunnel. And we just have to help each other out that way. That's the only thing we have
Yeah.
left. If I can't share it with you guys, then like it was all for nothing, and I can't stand that. So
Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly why I'm here too. Is you know, I needed to share this and help support women, and you know, I've listened to a few of your episodes, and I love them. You know, like
oh,
all of
thanks.
the stuff you're talking about is like, um, yeah, it's just these resources are slowly coming out, and we're creating them because they are
Yep.
needed.
Yeah. We're doing
Yeah.
the work. We're doing the work. But
Yes.
yeah, I'm so glad to get on here and, you know, share this time with you. Like, anybody watching, share this with somebody. You never know who in your feed is going through that. You know, like my best friend since forever. She was here when I couldn't nurse. Like, I had her here at my home, and right, and I'm embarrassed and I'm topless and like trying to get her to help, and she's like Mrs. Mom. She's the best. But she didn't even know how bad it got, you know, because I didn't even share that with her. Like, I had to have a mom who I knew had gone through it, or a mom that really pushed and, you know, like really inserted herself in for me to say back, me too, I feel a way that you say you're feeling. And again, that's nothing to say if you're a rock star mom, I'm jealous and like I wish I had been you, right? But it takes me, I can't tell all my dirt on Facebook Live. Everybody said, why don't you just do Facebook Live instead of a podcast? And I'm like, because people see me, like I have to, I can't be seen. It's just me and the mic. I tape what I felt, I tape what I went through on the mic, put it out there. I can't do like the comments and the looking at me, and I cry a lot in the episodes.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't want that on Facebook Live. So I do prefer the channel
Yeah.
of podcasting more for this kind of stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And it's interesting because I know there's women, like for myself personally, it's interesting how postpartum depression kind of shows up in different forms. And at a training I was just at this past week, and so many people who were learning about it were shocked to hear that sometimes the women that comes to your group, all put together and seems like everything's together and she's showing up to every group, she's like exhausting herself, and she's actually really falling apart at home, right?
yeah,
And so it's just, it can show up in any form. So like you say, share this. You never know who could be struggling, who could be benefiting from this
yeah.
information. Yeah.
It's so true. And it's a journey too, before we get off. I know like I felt it too, women who like might be starting back to work or whatever. I was still on my medication and I started back to work after the 12 weeks or whatever. And I was just still not all like, it was not going well. Like I guess like I felt dumber. Like I just, how they say like mom brain, pregnancy brain. Okay, like I know, but I was not up to par. I was trying to take myself off the medication, probably not in the best way,
Yeah.
but and so even it continued, right? It doesn't just last the 12 weeks of maternity leave.
Yeah.
And going back to work is part of the journey, right? And I mean, it was super embarrassing. I had to have discussions with my boss at the time that were like humiliating. I don't want to tell my boss, like, I felt mentally unstable for the past 3 months, but I'm here. That's horrible. And nobody wants to do that. But, I had to go through that so that I could tell other women, I think, about, yes, I've had that embarrassing conversation. Don't try to take yourself off medication on your first week back to work. I had to go through that. And Liam, we made it through. He's the best, and that all of that comes with time, right? The bonding with your kid, the going back to work. You will get your life back again. There's a light, but you have to just be more patient with the journey. So
Yeah. And it does show up when I know mat leave in the States is a lot shorter than our mat leave in Canada, but anywhere up to 3 years, women are when baby's 3 years old, 3 years out, they're like, I didn't realize like that this, that I was struggling so bad. Right. So
right.
It does show up anywhere beyond that first year.
Yeah. Good. I'm so glad we got to do this and connect on all this stuff. And I'm sure more of these to come for sure.
Yes. Thank you so much, Katie, for joining me.
Yes, of course. I got to get back to my sicko kid, but
yeah. And if anybody's interested in joining the challenge, I will have it going continuously after this launch this week. So you can go on amybolton.ca and you will see it under the challenges link there. And I'm excited to get started with the challenge, and I'll be starting my first group coaching program too. So
congrats. That's huge.
Yeah.
Yay. Good things. Good vibes.
Yeah.
Have a great week. We'll talk later.
Yeah. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.